All right. We are ready to kick this off. Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here with all of you today. Thank you and welcome to our inaugural Working Mothers Summit. You know, this is really cool. Shirley was just up here and she was talking about the numbers. This was something that we tried and we weren't sure what the reception was going to be, but the fact that we have over 1,000 people joining us virtually, welcome friends. We have 300 people here and we had 200 people on the waiting list that we were unable to accommodate. It just shows that what a need, what a hunger there is in our community to connect and share stories and be together. So thank you. And so thank you all for showing up here today. I want to give you guys a round of applause. So my name is Linda Henry. I have the great honor of serving as the CEO of Boston Globe Media, a 153-year-old institution that tells the story of our city each and every day. And I also at the same time serve as the mom of 2 middle schoolers. For me, working at the Globe has made me a better and more focused mom when I'm with my kids, and being a mom has made me a better and more compassionate leader at the Globe now. On most days, not every day, and not the whole time. When I first started working at the Globe, I had a little 2-year-old and my son was just a few months old and I was nursing, and I did not see working while being a mom as an advantage at that point. Like many, I was surviving. Which is why today, actually, I would actually want to give a special shout out to our whole event producer, Erica Hale-Smith. She is the vice president at the Boston Globe. She has been a force at the Globe, and her son turns 9 months old today. And so she's been, this conference has really meant a lot to her. So thank you, Erica. At the Boston Globe, we're really deeply committed to hosting events that bring our journalism to life and really create meaningful spaces for our community. We serve, underneath the title of the Boston Globe, it says serving our community, and we really take that to heart, and being a catalytic convener for our city is a big part of that role. And so today's summit exemplifies that mission as we gather an extraordinary group of women and caregivers who are balancing careers, family, and everything in between. To the amazing moms and caregivers in the room, we see you. We understand the challenges, the triumphs, and the necessary resilience that comes with wearing multiple hats every day. This summit is for you, to celebrate your strength, dedication, and relentless drive to balance it all, while also prioritizing your well-being and pursuing your personal and professional aspirations. I have to say that throughout my career, I've always sought to be in the presence of women. I've sought these sort of refuge places, and I would have these gatherings at my house where I would bring together different women from across the city. When Mayor Wu was a counselor, she would come to my house for a lot of these discussions. And it's just such a place of learning and sharing and connecting and validating. So you being here today is really valuable to yourself, and I hope you get that sort of nourishment that I've always sought out in my career. I want to give a special thank you to our incredible speakers. We have a great lineup today. They're sharing their journeys and their wisdom. You're the foundation for this community event. And also, I want to thank our enlightened sponsors, PNC Bank, Cross Insurance, and Little Sprouts. We have PNC Bank's Saskia Epstein, who's just been a terrific leader in our community in so many different roles for many years. And so thank you for being part of this. Your support is enabling, empowering, and connecting this really important part of our community. And that community is where the beauty of this event lies, and the collective wisdom that comes from sharing our stories. So today, I hope you find somebody new to meet with, to connect with, and to share your experiences with. And so now I get to kick off this summit with our first session. You met her already. The Boston Globe's very influential columnist, Shirley Leung, is here. Her Rolodex has all of the leaders across the city, and she is fearless in holding anyone in our community accountable. She built her really impressive career while also sharing stories and perspectives in her column, in her Say More podcast, where she also talks about raising her 2 sons and her battle with cancer. She is in conversation today with the great Mayor Wu, the first woman elected to be mayor of Boston. She took the role as a mom of 2 sons. Are they here today? The sons are not here. She then became the first to give birth while mayor of Boston. And she recently was nursing her beautiful baby in between sessions of standing up for our city during congressional hearings in DC. Please welcome these 2 trailblazing women to our stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for that great introduction. Thank you for your support for working moms at the Globe, for all of you here in this room and beyond. So Mayor Wu, of course, she's got an extra special guest, Mira, who was born in January, right? She made history with you, right?
Well, and usually okay, she's like, I'm bored of y'all. I am so blessed to have an amazing family. My husband, Connor, has been our rock and was in Congress as well, and tends to be the behind-the-scenes support, so that usually when I'm up on a stage, I don't have to have her with me. But today, I will just share a little bit, since we're in a safe room with you all. There really wasn't much choice today. This morning, I was very honored to accompany Big Papi, David Ortiz, to one of our Boston Public Schools to celebrate the work happening in BPS. His schedule was very fixed, and so we did that. And then it is equally fixed because there's an even harder to schedule event right after this that I'm running to, which is my 2 sons' annual doctor's checkup, where if you try to move that, you have to wait another 6 months, and they need those forms to sign up for summer camp and everything. So it is what it is. My husband's getting them ready over there, and then so I am here with our special guest.
Well, thank you. We're so delighted to have you here with us today. I know you have a lot on your plate, and a lot of us here we're really in awe of you. Maybe sometimes freaked out by how you're able to balance political life and motherhood. So I have a few questions of my own, but I want to remind everyone that you can ask questions by using the chat online if you're watching virtually, or scanning the QR code on the screens up here in the room. And we just ask that the questions stay on topic. So this Working Mother Highwire Act, it's not new for you. I remember about a decade ago when you had your first son, Blaze, you were still in the city council, and I still remember you cradling this chubby baby, seemingly almost as big as you, right? You're sitting in the council chambers, and certainly Mira's been everywhere. She's only 2 months old, but she has been to a cabinet meeting, she's been to Congress. Are you sure she's not running for mayor? So I want to.
I'm feeling the rooting around. I'm hungry.
So can you talk about your decision to be working in public with your babies?
I would say that I think maybe this is something that resonates with some in this room too. Some of it was an intentional, conscious decision, and some of it, as is so much of the lifestyle of working parents, is just you're going to do what you have to do. And when I was on the council, and I'm going to finish this question and then get someone latched on. When I was on the council, it was, there really wasn't a lot of additional options. Both parents working. Daycare in City Hall didn't start until 4 months or 6 months old, and in that window between, there was just, you have to figure it out and make things happen, and there had been no other example before of how to do it. So, I am incredibly privileged and blessed to be able to have the flexibility to make choices that we all need to change policies so that every single working parent has. And I hope that by trying to break down the silos or the dividers between personal and professional, we realize how hard it is and can give the momentum to make those changes.
Right. A nursing break, a first. You're pretty good at this, huh? So I was just wondering, have you gotten any pushback?
I mean, initially, I would say my oldest son is 10 now, and having been, sorry, Shirley, having been the first city councilor to have a baby then, okay, we're all good. There, there was really no playbook of what to do, right? And even actually then, in terms of other employees in City Hall, I tried to figure out what the usual situation was, how much time was there that any city employee would get, and we did not have paid parental leave at all back then. It's in some ways remarkable to see how much and remember and reflect on how much progress has happened in the last 10 years. Certainly, every day we realize how much more there is to go, but 10 years ago, at the city, state, and still at the federal level, there was no guarantee of paid parental leave in our city government. So I was very proud to write that ordinance. Too late for myself to use it at that point, but to ensure that city workers then would have the ability to finally stop building up their paid leave or their sick leave and disability medical leave in order to do something that is a basic fact of life and something that should be part of your dignified working conditions. To this day, we have now expanded it to nearly every city employee through collective bargaining. There's still one more contract that we're trying to incorporate, but it means for the very first time, even in the last 2-3 years, our teachers have guaranteed paid parental leave. Our police officers have guaranteed paid parental leave. And it ends up having a real impact in the types of leaders who are then sitting around the table making important decisions and delivering our services. For the very first time, we offered childcare as part of the police academy so that new recruits could include new moms and dads who otherwise wouldn't be able to sign up to fill the very important jobs that we need and that we need to reflect everyone in our community.
You yourself did not take leave this time, just like you didn't take leave in city council. So how do you encourage your city employees to take leave then?
Yeah, and I think I want to be clear because this has been a point of contention, and Shirley and I have had conversations about why when a woman in a job has some news happen, why is the focus immediately what is the most controversial aspect of the plan 6 months from now when she hasn't decided it yet, and let's let everyone weigh in. And I understand that it's a function of the news, but in some ways I am looking forward to the day where that is not it's no longer news, and it's no longer is she doing the right thing for herself and as a symbol of all of humanity and what's riding on each and every one of our shoulders, depending on which constituencies and communities we reflect. That'll be the day when, for example, I think the phrasing is to quote Bella Abzug, when a mediocre woman has access to the same opportunities that men and others routinely have access to. When the day comes that we no longer have to be the most exceptional, the most balanced, the most put together, the most, checking all the boxes in order to count as strong leaders and in order to be seen as full professionals in our field, that is when we will be at the point of our work being a little bit more complete. So I think for me, being an elected official is just a unique experience. It is a privilege for sure, and it's a job that is contradictory in some ways. Anyone in this room who is a resident of Boston is qualified to be mayor of Boston, right? Anyone who is a voter and resident of Boston can put your name on the ballot, collect signatures, and then run for office, and that is the beauty of our democracy. So I am perfectly interchangeable with anyone in this room or any resident of our city in that way. But whoever puts their name on the ballot and ends up running and ends up getting elected at any level of office, once your name is on the ballot, in some ways, at that point, you really can't be substituted for the other names that could have been there and were not on there, right? It's hard to just delegate your voting responsibilities as a senator to some random person or even a deputy or very skilled chief of staff. And so in this role, I'm around to make the decisions day or night, you know, whether the family is out of town on our 1 week annual vacation or any other day of the year. And with the leave, of course, it's been doing the job a little bit differently, doing it much more through remote and virtual participation for the first couple of weeks. And then I got called to Congress, did my thing, and then the next day was my 6-week postpartum sign-off appointment with the doctor to say I was ready to go back to work.
So you talked about parental leave. So talk to us about some of the other policies you've created as mayor to help make life easier for working families.
Every day I talk about how our goal is to make Boston a home for everyone. And in our administration, that means being the safest city as the foundation for everything, the greenest city for health and well-being and jobs, and the best city in the country for families. We're in a moment where our economy is more flexible and fluid than ever before, where everyone has options, companies, and even the shape of how companies are formed really depends on where people want to be in the world. And it's the opposite of 70 years ago when much of Boston's governmental structures and infrastructure was built, where you plan for the big companies, build the big towers, the companies come, find ways to incentivize them to be here, and then people inevitably will follow to be by the jobs. These days, businesses are choosing to locate to the communities where the talent wants to be, where residents can fill every part of their life, not just having access to that job because they could zoom in theoretically from anywhere. And so we've been able in Boston to land companies like Eli Lilly and SAP and Lego and others because we're seen as not only a strong economic diverse ecosystem for businesses and for the corporate sector, but as a place where people can safely and excitingly and in a welcoming and inclusive way satisfy all the needs that every member and every generation of their family has. We have expanded universal pre-K and early education to the greatest number of seats that they've ever had. I can't get into all the details of that, but that's been a painstaking effort, really thinking about the details of how funding formulas work, how we engage new sectors within childcare and the curriculum to support the workforce and boost salaries, et cetera. We have focused on how, again, parental leave is incorporated into many different departments and sectors in the city. We're working on housing, particularly ways that we're empowering multiple bedroom, larger bedroom unit size housing rather than just ones and twos. And we've even most recently launched a co-purchasing pilot so that families have more options than ever before to purchase generationally, to have ADUs or accessory dwelling units to keep families together. And even something like our Boston Family Days program, which is our free museum, cultural institutions, and now revolutionary sites and performing arts access, having a guarantee that if you want your child to be able to access advanced math or youth sports or go to these institutions for free, the only qualification is you have to live in Boston. And that's what we want our city to be known as.
So we have time for a couple more questions. So I remember interviewing you a month after you got elected, and you wanted to stay involved in your kid's life. I mean, maybe you would do school pickup, maybe be home for dinner a couple times a week. So have you been able to do that as mayor?
For the most part, I mean, it really ebbs and flows, and certain times of the year are a little bit crazier than others. March always is a little bit crazier, but okay, pardon me if I end up with spit up all over myself. But in general, I try to do school pickup, at least once or twice a week. I try to involve the kids. The boys are 7 and 10 now, and so there's a complicated system of planning for what days they have activities and are too busy to hang out with me, and what days I have activities, and on the precious days where our time is together after school, really making the most of that. So we have some ways that they're now getting involved in the planning for the family too, and it's hectic and it's crazy, but I hope they're growing up just with the instinctual sense that women and moms can do anything, but that boys have a role in that too.
We have a really good question from the audience along the same lines. So, as a mom, how do you talk to your kids about not always being able to be everywhere they ask you to be?
Yeah, this one is really hard because they're also changing so quickly in their understanding. When they were both born after I was already serving on the council. Blaze was born, he's 10 now, he was born in my very first year on the council. Cass was born in my first year serving as council president. And so some of this, I think they knew the word meeting before any baby shouldn't be able to speak the word meeting. So they've known what it means to come around with me to a lot of things. They know every playground in the city, and they're used to kind of saying, what's on the docket this weekend? Is it a parade? Is it this or that? And at this age, though, they're now expressing their opinions about whether they want to be part of it or not. And also for their own activities, whether they want me at this basketball game or that one. And so it's, I think maybe this room might understand there's always a layer of constant guilt, right? Of, am I doing my job to my fullest? Am I taking care of the kids to the fullest? Is it okay to leave this pile of laundry for an extra couple days, just not folded, sitting there? And even with the support of extended family, even with the privileges in being able to set my own schedule, it is really hard. And I hope that, just like Linda was saying, the flow between letting yourself experience all the parts of your identity at once strengthens each part of yourself, and therefore strengthens what you can contribute into the world as that whole person. And it's not always fun in every minute, especially when they're young, but I know that it gives me this unshakable determination that we are going to make it easier for families everywhere to thrive and to have what they need, and also a sense of urgency that we can't let each class of students, each family, watch their kids grow up in an instant and not be delivering what they need. And I see another incredible working mom in the house. Our Attorney General is here. Thank you, General Campbell.
So last question for me. So Mira is only a couple months old, so this question might sound premature. But when she's in her 20s, 30s, 40s, how do you want the world to be different or better for working moms?
Well, in some ways, she's such a laid back and easy baby. I'm worried that means as a teenager, I will have karma come back to me.
Almost certainly true.
So who knows? But I hope first and foremost that she will have felt like she got to experience all that the world has to offer through this city, and that it was easy, and that her classmates and friends and everyone felt that it was taken for granted that you could be part of a family and have anything that you wanted to experience for your growth and development available to you in the city. I also, this is not a political event, but where do we start on what the White House will feel like and look like in 20, 30 years? The daily onslaught, it feels, of Boston being under attack for the core industries that make up our economy, research and life sciences and healthcare, and the communities that power that economy across every facet of our identities. It really has felt like, she was born a week before inauguration, and so the whole pregnancy, I was expecting a different outcome for what policies would feel like, what politics would feel like right now. And we have a lot of fighting to do to ensure that by the time she is in these seats, that stress and that sense of having to claw back what was so sacrificed for and fought for in generations past, that will be a memory, and that they will be on to the next set of battles for sure, but ones that are not so basic and intrinsic to who we are.
Well, Mary Ruth, this has been a great conversation. I thought it was hard to nurse in my office, but no, nursing on stage, this is incredible. And Mira's asleep now. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Mayor Wu, our working mom in chief.
Thank you, Shirley.